Good day. Well, we've made a change to our M470, or M480. Sorry about that. We've decided to purchase a gimbal, and it's the Ziontech. And it's the Z1 Tiny 2. According to the firmware, it's the Evolution. And actually, since I've got the back side of this Yi camera carved out to the size of the GoPro, it fits absolutely perfect inside the chassis, so there's no modifications there. Two simple clamps on the back, and so no modifications to the gimbal whatsoever. Now it came with a couple of controls on the side, which are pretty standard for gimbals, and if I get this rotated up on its side, you'll be able to see those right there. Hopefully that's in focus, but just in case it's not, this connection right here is for up and down, and default positioning to be set by the connection to the receiver, and so you can program this into auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2 of your whatever your radio is, my Taranis. And this right here is also it's a 5-volt connection, and I'm not going to use it, so I've unplugged that as well. And in addition, there's a third connection which goes directly from one of these arms to the actual side of the GoPro. And since the interface for the Yi is different, I won't be using that, and that's pretty much for shutter control and things like that. But that's it. I kind of strapped it on there using some hardware that I had, which is a little bit ghetto. This mounting hardware is solid though. It's in 4 locations and it's not coming off. These right here are connections to the OSD and the camera. The OSD and the camera are going to sit on a plate on these rails. I've actually ordered some carbon fiber, which is high quality carbon fiber, which I got from I believe I got it from Aloft Hobbies, and they got some good quality carbon fiber I've used in the past. This is 1mm. I found that if I bought 2mm, it was so thick, I was going through drill bits and things trying to saw it and drill through it. So 1mm is going to be stiff enough for me, and I've ordered some rails, bushings from Taro, and I'm going to put those bushings right here and attach the actual plate right to it. So I'll drill 8 holes. Once I get the bushings, I'll be able to mark those bushings, and it's going to sit right there pretty much. So on the front of the plane is where we're going to hook those up, and then again the leads are right there. So we're gonna use those leads. I've already mapped it out and determined that the leads are long enough to reach the devices, and that'll be no problem at all. But the gimbal is hooked up, and I'm gonna do a test. I'm gonna do a leveling test. I'm gonna see, you know, from the get-go how level this thing is, whether or not it does anything. I'm gonna power it on here in a second. But in order to do so, I need to get a transmitter and power the transmitter on. So I'm gonna come back in a second. All right. So we got the transmitter. We're gonna power that on.
Welcome to Taranis.
And then we've got the battery.
GPS mode.
I throw a battery on the device so that I can get the robot to power up. This is run directly off of the gimbal, which is sending 12 volts. It's the same exact controls that would feed a G2 gimbal or a G3 gimbal if you were to buy the factory gimbal for the M480. So I felt pretty safe with the voltage rating. The Z1 will handle anything between 11 volts and 24 volts. So it's going to handle, or 25 volts, it's going to handle the power from this, which will be a 12 volt feed, pretty well, I should imagine. I don't think there's going to be any issues there. And I'm going to pull the transmitter away from the actual unit right now. And that way I can power on the platform. Let's power on the platform. Let's see what she does. Let's see if it powers the gimbal. And there we go. We're live. So I've actually found some firmware online. I'm going to probably make sure we're running the latest firmware for this gimbal, the Z1 Evolution. But right now it looks pretty good as far as how it came up. Came up pretty level and pretty much in tune what I was hoping for. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to rock the ship a little bit. And there we go. And we're moving the boat. And the platform's staying pretty darn good. Alright. Well, that passes. I'm going to take this for a flight. Got the platform in my hands, and I'm going to do some maneuvers and see how it holds up. And I am turning it to the left and the right. Here's how screwy I look. Check out this crazy looking dude. Was he a miner? And as you can see, that's pretty much what I want it to do. Alright. Alright, so the last part of this is the software configuration. So there's a USB port on the side of the gimbal, and what I'll do is power this thing on first. Make sure the transmitter is on. Transmitter's on. Good to go there. Fire up the bird. see if the gimbal fires up. Should. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to plug the USB in here to I installed some drivers which came with it. There's some files and things. I'm probably not going to benefit anybody by zooming in on these, but as you can see, the CP210X driver, I installed that, and I did the 64-bit based on what OS you're using. And then the software I'm using right now is the gimbal tools. I'm using version 1.2.2. I've got this as an icon down here, and so it looks like it wants to connect on, sorry about the jittering, it wants to connect on COM port 5, and there we go. So looks like the gyro and stuff are connected. I've seen no visual indication that anything's changed on the gimbal whatsoever. The light's not blinking or anything different on it, but I am connected. So there's a setting thing here, and I guess the settings tab would probably make more sense if I read the manual, and clearly it's out of focus too, so who knows what this is going to come out looking like. But anyway, looks like we're connected, and it thinks this is a Z1 evolution. Normally it said that there would be a drop down tab and I'd be able to select, but I'm finding that not to be the case. So we've got a rate for following. Let me see if I can get this thing to focus. We've got a deadband category. Looks like we got some helps. That's nice. Following rate. Smoothness. All these seem to be defaulted to 50. And we have a control rate. So I'm going to learn what about these things are for. And then we have some more reversals if we need to. Then a reload, and then we've got the firmware tab, which, you know, I don't want to spend the whole review here of my mod on software, but this is So